All right, so what do we got for the verb here? What is it?
Obedecer.
And what's our reason?
Habitual action.
Do we have a clue word up here?
Sometimes,
Sometimes is a clue word. Do we have another clue word up here?
but not much.
But not a lot. So both of these are clue words would indicate that this is a habitual event. So remember, habitual event is something that occurs in the past with some frequency. So it says sometimes he doesn't obey, but not a lot. Yeah, let's see, we got the next one. So what are our two verbs here? Celebraba and Mania. So remember, always check the clue words first. Are there any clue words? Siempre, which would indicate that this must be habitual, because every time he had a birthday, he would always have a party. So what about this one? Remember, this is the verb to come. So a lot of his friends would come to the party.
We had description.
So it's a couple different things. First, we're saying how many of his friends, which is got a lot of them, so you could use description. Anything else it could be.
Is it action progress?
Could be an action in progress because as his friends are coming, he will be receiving gifts for the next one, so action in progress. What's another thing it could be? Every time he has a party, doesn't this happen every time he has a party? So it could also be habitual. Okay, let's go to my next guy. So we have recibía. So what's our choices here? So habitual action, if you said the last one was habitual action. So if you said the one on the previous screen was habitual, this would be habitual. So if you didn't say habitual on the last screen, if you said description on the last screen, then this would be description. If you said action in progress on the last screen, this would be action in progress. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, because this is basically the same sentence. So dot, dot, dot. So if you scoot back to the other part, whatever you have for your answer there should be for your answer here. Yeah, yeah. All right, you got 4 things going on here. What do we got? We got that one twice. There we go. So remember, había is the verb haber, which is the verb I. So había will always be what? It'll always be a description because you say there was one thing. The only time that it's not a description, it's still a description, but it's a description of weather. So I want to say there were clouds, había nubes. So I'm describing what there was, but people might say that's weather because they do clouds. So this is going to be a description. Quería, desire, you got it. And tenía, age specifically, because it's saying when he was 11 years old. So notice this verb here. That is the verb in the other past tense. That's the preterite tense. Because he says, well, that there was only one thing that he always wanted more than anything in the whole world. So when he was 10 years old, his parents gave him a single action, gave him a doll. All right, so we got here. What's our verbs? Era and tenías. And then what's one more? Decía. Now, decía is the verb decir, which means to tell or to say. So what did you guys come up with for era? Description. We pretty much know it's always going to be description unless we're talking about time or date. Tenía. Description, because it's saying the dog was white and had a lot of energy. So we're describing the dog. And what do you guys think here? If you say habitual, be careful. Because remember, habitual, we said, would be todos, and then it would have to have a time or a date piece. So it would be every Friday or every Saturday. This is saying all of the neighbors. So if he made this habitual, then he would be telling the neighbors all the time, I got a new dog, 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 over and over. So that can't be habitual, or you want to, smack the kid. So it would be an action in progress because he got his little doggy and he's like, I have a new dog, everybody, it's my dog. He's going from neighbor to neighbor to neighbor, neighbor to neighbor. But he doesn't do that with any habitual means because we can't deal with that kind of kid, right? My brother was that kind of kid. There we go. Moving on. So what do we got here for our verbs? So ready? Pasaba, jugaba. Doesn't even sound like Spanish, does it? So he would spend a lot of time with his dog. Flew here. So what do you guys get? Jugaba football. Action in progress. Did anyone say habitual? Do you see how it could be habitual? Because every time he would spend time with him, this is the activity he would do. Yeah. So this action in progress is the correct answer, but some of you might see, hey, every time he does this, he also does this. All right, let's see what we got from the next screen. So with this one, action in progress, or you're telling me everything he does, or habitual, depending on if you use habitual in the last one, then you use habitual here. You use action in progress there, you use action in progress here. So if you didn't know what this verb meant, could you tell by the picture? You just see the action going on. Good. So what's this one? Passive, action in progress. And hopefully this picture shows you that it's an action in progress. With a little stream. And then my last one, we got Amaba, and Era. Desire, because this is the verb to love. And then of course, we know that Anna is pretty much going to be what? Description. I'm telling you that he was a best friend. Well, there we go. You doing a good job here. So let me